Okay, so I want to talk about meatless school lunches hit a nerve in France. So I really wonder why, and I wish in Israel we would have meatless lunches because I know they don't have it. So let's continue. I think perhaps this is in the city of Lyon. The mayor decided to give a meatless meal at schools, and the conservatives are really upset because you have the conservatives and then the right has expressed opposition to the change. It has to be reviewed by the right-leaning Senate. Another bill sets out possible reforms for a greener future that includes banning advertisement for fossil fuels, eliminating some shorthand domestic flights. So, for now, the meatless Lyon school lunches are still being served. Good for them. Children seem just fine. This month, a Lyon administration court rejected an attempt by some parents, agricultural unions, and local conservative politicians to overturn the mayor's decision, ruling that a temporary simplification of school menus did not pose a health risk for the children. Quite the opposite. Meat is linked to cancer, heart disease, obesity, and as we know, the coronavirus didn't appear from plants. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. But it's a big step because I know, having lived in Europe, it's a big barrier. Meanwhile, Mr. de Normandie, the agriculture minister, has asked the prefect in the Lyons area to look into the legality of dropping meat. He said we're denying meat to the poorest people with the most precarious existence, which is false. He should have been fired at once. Boris Chartier, a member of a parents' association, said the mayor was being closely watched. We are vigilant, he said. We don't want this to be a definitive decision. Our children cannot be held hostage to ecological, political convictions. Oh, how short-term. As for Mr. Tixarena, the butcher cast his eyes appreciatively over the vast selection of meat. We have canine teeth for a reason, he said. Yes, but we also have molars. And it's not about that. It's about, so much. We know that 40% of the CO2 emission is from the meat industry. It's cruel. It's mean. We have a brain for a reason, too. And we have an ability to choose. Human is all about being able to choose. And of course, there's a benefit to the minorities that don't eat certain meats, and that is the Muslims. Jews, hardly any Jews there, but let's say the Muslims. And that would be good news for them, that finally they don't have to force their kids to eat meat that's not been prepared in their way. So that's one news I wanted to talk about. And then we have a very... I love Snoopy. There's Snoopy. Thank you, Snoopy. Supper time. Good grief. What happened to your doghouse? Never mind. I hate waiters who ask personal questions. Garfield. Garfield will never find where I hid the cookies in the chandelier. Chandelier. Okay, and I really like Dilbert. Wally, 4 out of 5 of your projects are behind schedules. That's because of the pandemic. One of your project is on schedule. That's because of me. Calvin, last time you made a duplicate of yourself. The duplicate made duplicates. Remember, it was a mess. True. But thanks to the ethicator, it can't happen this time. By only duplicating my good side, I've ensured that this duplicate won't cause any trouble. He's a complete Boy Scout. There's nothing this twerp likes better than making everyone's life easier. We live for it. The ethicator must have done some deep digging to unearth him. Talk about someone easy to exploit. I don't get him, but he's funny. And I wanted to talk about what I have here. This, yeah, food again. So this is about food. This is the common denominator. Bet you can't eat just one. Book review: Hooked. Food, free will, and how the food giants exploit our addiction. So, if you have a choice between eating potato chips or walnuts and the same amount, the potato chip actually has less calories, but which is more likely to make you fat? From a purely nutritional perspective, the answer is easy: the walnuts. According to the nutritional labels helpfully provided on both packages, an ounce of walnuts contains 186 calories, 25% more than 150 calories delivered by an ounce of potato chips. But to be sure, walnuts pack more protein and fiber and less salt. But if weight gain is your worry, you should eat the potato chips. I'm not going to do that. So this is a book talking about how food makes you hooked. So let me just read you the most important information. For some of us, sugar is as addictive as cocaine. But from an evolutionary, biological perspective, cocaine is actually as addictive as sugar because it takes advantage of ancient mechanisms we inherited from our distant ancestors that help them acquire rare but needed calories. To stay healthy in our current modern food systems, consumers have to overcome instincts and make choices over which we have little control. So Moss's attention to food addiction should open eyes and convert some free market advocates. On legal grounds, big food may be safe in court for now, but its actions raise ethical questions. Should we judge companies solely by their profits or by how they affect the world? Regardless of the debates about the law and free will, is it acceptable to market to children breakfast cereals like cotton candy Captain Crunch, which is nearly half sugar? These and many other harmful, habit-forming foods have fattened corporate bank accounts at the cost of fattening hundreds of millions of people, contributing to countless premature deaths and debilitating diseases, as well as costing trillions of dollars. Even if you don't consume these foods, you are paying big time for their consequences. Hooked can help. This is a book, Food, Free Will, and How the Food Giants Exploit Our Addictions by Michael Moss. Hook can also help us pay more attention. This is the book. Sorry, I should have shown that first. Hook can also help us pay more attention to the relationship between food quantity and quality. Over the last few decades, modern westernized attitudes towards food have increasingly focused on nutrition labels that inform us how many grams of saturated fat, fiber, and other stuff are in the food we buy. These labels can make many highly processed foods seem deceptively harmless compared with more calorie-dense natural foods like avocados, salmon, and walnuts. Yet how many people overeat unprocessed, wholesome food? Good question. Nutritionist perspectives on food combined with the challenges of losing weight also generate confusion over the relative merits of alternative diets, sometimes promoting new kinds of disordered eating as we Google the glycemic index of muffins or banana and worry about whether chocolate eggs or peanuts are good or bad. I've done my share of Googling and fretting, this person writes, but I'm done with this. One doesn't need a degree in nutritional science to recognize that just about every traditional, non-processed diet from every culture on earth that isn't loaded with junk food is probably generally healthy. What's more, like those walnuts, those diets are tastier too. So eat healthy. Try to eat unprocessed. And I need to clean up my living room. Wow. So this was what I was reading in the New York Times. And there's also a tiny bit from Don Lemon, the CNN host and author of This Is the Fire. about books, which books are on his shelf. Oh my goodness. The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. 400 Souls, edited by Ibrahim Candy and Kaisha Blaine. It's Up to Us by John Cage. And 10 Lessons for Post-Pandemic World by Fareed Zakara. So he's so much into like reading about races and racism. And I didn't understand why he actually supported Meghan Markle. That's my last thing. What book, if any, influenced your decision to become a journalist? Invisible Men by Rolf Ellison. That's a great book, actually. It's about a man who tried to live as a black man in the South in the 50s. I wanted to be seen. I wanted people to hear the truth from someone who looks like me. So I just don't know if I could always read like from my like all this ethnic a person is not just their ethnic identity, are they? But he really is just about that. I'm interested in so many other subjects as well. Maybe I'm just tired of ethnic reading. But anyway, so I'll end with this label. So don't buy potato chips. It goes for consuming things as well. And I'm going to have to continue my spring cleaning. So remember to eat healthy foods. And when you eat something, think about the addictive aspects of food, not just the calories. Peace, light, and love.